So, are we ready to introduce our next beautiful guest? We've got a Dr. Toni Reilly. Hope I'm saying that right, Reilly. Yes. We're going to be exploring intuition in everyday life to boost confidence and trust. It's time to get off the internet and in the internet. Can you please put our hands together for this wonderful doctor? Thank you.
Thanks, Daniela. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about intuition in a way that helps you learn to trust it more, trust it in yourself, given that we all have intuition and we all have the capacity for it to be very strong. And when you know what you're looking for with your intuition, you'll realize that you're using it anyway. So it's really then going to be about learning to trust it. So away we go. One of the things that I work with is, my thingy might not, it's working, is past lives. So one of the things that I'm going to integrate into this talk is how we can use things that have happened in our past lives to wake up our intuition or remove any resistance that we might have to using it. So maybe if you just have a think about if you ever had a gut feeling, which is another way we would describe intuition, and ignored it, and then you suffer the consequences of it. And it can be so simple as you had a feeling to turn left to drive home today and you didn't, and then you're stuck in traffic because there's been a crash in front of you or something. So there's many things that happen to us day to day where we get the chance to realise that we had a feeling not to or to do something and we ignored it and didn't, and then we pay for it. It might be a little payment, or you might feel like you missed out on something because you didn't say yes or you didn't go with your feeling. So if you have a think about what that is, or that type of thing that may have happened to you, then you know that you have intuition. There's a few different ways that we sense our intuition, and there are certain ways that are stronger in each of us. So we're not cut and dry. We don't all get our information or our senses in the same way, but they all will come through our sixth sense, or clairsenses if you've heard of those. Clairaudience, which is hearing, clairvoyance, which is inner seeing, it's all inner, and clairsentience, which is feeling, claircognizance, just knowing. There's others too, but those are the usual main ones that we will have, and each of us may have one or two of them stronger than the others. Some of us might have a bit of all of them. But when we learn to trust that those senses that we have when they come in, because they can be subtle, then we get a lot of clarity with what decisions to make. And when we make decisions that turn out well for us, we're more confident in ourselves and in our decision making. I don't know of a better example than decisions to express how we might feel more confident in ourselves. But when you are making decisions, whether they're emotional decisions, personal decisions, or they're decisions about business, or the choices you're making for your children, whatever it is, if you feel or you know that they're coming off well and you feel confident because that's happening, a lot of that will be because you follow your intuition, because you may know this or have experienced it. We have partners, we have parents, we have friends who all have opinions. So do we. And if people are telling you what they think you should do, and they do, as we do to others, and sometimes it doesn't feel right, but you do it anyway because you love that person, you trust that person, and then you get to pay the consequence one way or another because it didn't turn out how you knew, or if you'd have gone with your intuition, how things may have turned out. So they're all lessons in trusting your intuition when those things happen. So they're not a form of failure. They're just was a way to help you learn to trust yourself and become more confident in how your intuition comes through to guide you to clarity. So when we're in alignment with our intuition, we just feel more confident. So for me, I didn't really know what intuition was until I was in my 30s. I've led a very mainstream life, pretty, happy life, married, children, and I was told, my friends and I would go for psychic readings. Once a year we used to go, and every time I went, I would be told that I should do that, or I could do that, and I'd think, what? As if. But what happened when came a big turning point in my life, which was the breakdown of my marriage, but when that happened, I became obsessed with finding out about this intuition thing that I'm supposed to have. So as part of the process of trying to find out, it became so important to discover what it meant to be intuitive. I knew nothing. And I ended up finding a meditation teacher. And we started developing, so meditating for the very first time in my life. And part of what happened there was I became so aware of these intuitive senses, and not just those senses, because I could see and hear, and I thought, oh, I've had those things happen before through my whole life. I just didn't really know that they fell under the banner of intuition, or psychic for that matter. But in part of the process of opening up to my intuition and strengthening it, there was a big side effect. And this has been the most key thing in my life that changed really everything, aside from opening up my intuition, was I started to become aware of who I was. So self-awareness started to happen, and it was a shock because I didn't even know what it meant to be insecure or messy. I was just oblivious to all of those concepts. But when I started meditating, I would become aware of where there was self-worth, my self-worth was damaged, and these things like that. So when I was chasing to open up my intuition, that was one side effect. But the second one was that lady that was teaching me development, intuition development or psychic development, she told me to read a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, which is the book by Dr. Brian Weiss, which for me opened the doors to past lives. And because that happened, then I became completely obsessed with past lives because I'd never heard of them before, and it was like, wow, everything resonated with what I'd read in that book. So I went to my meditation teacher and I said, I have to have one of these regressions that I've just read about. And I thought I had to go to the States to have one with Dr. Brian Weiss, but she said, I know how to do it. So next thing I'm on her couch having a session, and she said, you ask for something when you do this, like there's something that we can fix. So I asked for, why am I in my 30s and I don't know that I'm intuitive? That was one question. I asked a couple of others as well, but we'll focus on the intuition one. So what happened in that session was a few things. The first thing was I 100% wasn't making it up. These images were dropping in. I knew what they meant. I knew when it was me. I knew who I'd been, and I definitely knew how I felt in them. But one of the things I saw with the intuition was I was a young girl who was 17 I was, and I knew how to make poultice in this particular past life, and I could see that the local village people would come to the cottage and sit with me, and they would put their hands on mine, and I must have been able to make them feel good about themselves and use my intuition. But what happened, to cut the story really short, what happened was I was sentenced to hang because I was deemed a witch. It was in those times in history. So what happened there is, with the past life, it showed me why I wouldn't want to use it today, because if you use it, something's not good's going to happen. In fact, your life's going to end. So that's a subconscious thing that was in there. So that's how regression changed my life, and it made my intuition wildly good after that. So what I was able to do, not just using my intuition for what to do and make decisions, it also became, I see the intuition as the very same stream as creativity. It comes through where it's beyond your thoughts. it's streaming through, and the intuition works the same, and it works through the same senses as that creativity, and it all took over for me. So that was what regression did for me. Now let's talk a little bit about what intuition means and is. I don't know where here we go. Why we would block our intuition and maybe need to work on something to open it up again, because it's so good to have your intuition working well. One of the things is we have potentially a fear of trusting ourselves, and it can come through all sorts of scenarios that happen in a past life or even as a young person in this life. So fear of trusting yourself, where you might block listening to that intuitive guidance. Sometimes it could be from past trauma or conditioning. So potentially, if you're told, intuition's the same as psychic, by the way, it's coming through the same stream. Just intuition's for you, usually. This is my assimilation. Intuition is guidance for ourselves, whereas psychic is where you can tune to others and share guidance with them. It's all coming through the same space, same stream. So having maybe past trauma or conditioning might be that religion indoctrinated you or taught you that this was bad. This is bad to be involved in this. It's the devil's work. All of those kinds of things can affect not wanting to use those inherent abilities that you have. Sometimes our logical mind dominates because we're people, and of course we have logic as well. So that's where we would be questioning, oh, yeah, you heard to turn right. It's usually a thought, by the way. Clairaudience is a thought. It's not hearing. So it's hearing a thought in your head and in your own voice. But if it says to turn right and you don't, and then you get stuck in the traffic, your logical mind dominated and it said, no, I'll just go the way I usually go. Logical mind, it dominates for lots of us, but when you hone and know what senses work for you or how your intuition works, then it overtakes the logical mind and gives you confidence. So as I spoke about with unresolved past life fears, because we've worked in past lives for so long now, 20 years with thousands and thousands of people, there's a way to track almost everything that gives you any sort of trouble or block in this life. Even happy things as well can be traced back to a past life, where you can assimilate the feelings with it or find out when you've done this similar thing before. So unresolved past life fears or experiences, when they're seen by you or known by you and they're in your awareness, it clears and you suddenly will find that your intuition is open and working. Let's go a little bit more about regression. One thing that we say a lot of is regress to progress. And the reason that I like to talk about regress to progress is because a lot of people are like, don't dwell in the past, you're just dwelling, let's get on with this life. And it's like, we go into the past to make this life better. It's not about dwelling in the past. So that's why we say regress to progress. So when you do regression, or if you go through this process, if you're having it facilitated, is a very safe, guided, gentle process. And what's happening with it is it's accessing your subconscious memories. So it's your soul memories, and it's your soul who's able to speak to you about these. And what happens when these previous memories are brought into your awareness is you are clear then to let your intuition come in and be as strong can be. So it empowers your intuitive trust or trust within your intuition. Some of you may not need to unblock anything like that. Maybe you just need to start exploring your intuition, because in my experience, one of the best things to do is to use it and practice with it, challenge yourself with it. and begin to trust yourself, because you start to get things right all the time. There's lots of exercises that you can do, courses that you can do, but even on social media, I have them on Instagram where there's little exercises in there where you use your intuition to see what card's going to be picked or what colour's going to come up, those kinds of things. So do those kinds of things, and they will help your intuition get stronger, and they'll help you trust yourself a lot more with it. Keep on going. Oh, we already said that. It's not dwelling in the past, so let's go forward now. We've talked about going back, but it's a way to clear the way to progress today. I do think this may be a little double up. I did do these slides. I know I may have doubled up. But anyway, past life blocks, or things that potentially from our past life may stop us really embracing our intuition, is a fear of trusting ourselves. Repeat. Fear of being visible, not wanting to be seen. What if you're seen? What if you get it wrong? Fear of visibility. And I guess to the story that I just shared with you about where I saw I was put to death or to be hung for people knowing what I was doing, which was so sweet, actually, healing people, but yet it was portrayed as fearful because you were a witch. Can I just say, I remember in that past life, I got to run off the platform. The platform, little, but about this high, that I was on, and someone let me run off the platform. The story deepens, but I won't go into that. But I remember when I first saw it, I thought, why aren't those people chasing me? Because there was people everywhere yelling, kill her, kill her. This cute little kid, basically. And but they were so scared because they had been told that you're a witch, and they didn't know what that meant. So fear of being visible, that's just one way that you could be afraid of being seen that can be cleared, to clear your intuition. Fear of speaking out. Sometimes we may have said something in the past and we were condemned for it. So that can also stop us wanting to use our intuition, and because our intuition is guiding our actions a lot of the time for what to do and what to say, and you need to do something now. Sometimes people make vows of silence, maybe of poverty, loyalty, whatever they might be, and they can stop us using our intuition or hold it down, dampen it down. Sometimes in life, not just past lives, in life, when we are going through a very human process like grief or feeling particularly guilty, but grief is a big one. We very often can't hear that guidance that's coming through to us because we are so entrenched in what's going on in our everyday emotions. So that is one thing also that can block that intuition. But I assure you, if you are in that space of grief, you will move through it, and your intuition or your guidance will come back. So if you've known you've had it and you lost it for a while, I promise you it will come back. Once you are moving through the process, you start to be able to hear yourself again, and your intuition comes back. So ways we can strengthen our intuition. I think a lot of us are going really fast in day-to-day life. We're taking care of kids, we're going to work, we're getting ready, we're going socialising, we're scrolling. I'm not against scrolling. I do a fair bit of it. We're just doing things. So sometimes it's good to just have a pause and a little bit of a tune to yourself. And I know that there was a whole big movement about meditation and meditating to hear our inner voice, our inner compass, but it's not for everybody. And I know at the very least, personally at least, I can meditate, but I'm just not a routine person. So if I was supposed to meditate at a certain time every day, that would be so oppressive for me. So I meditate when I feel like it. But for some of you, being very routine about it would be a great thing. So you really just have to learn what works for you. And sometimes it's pausing in the moment to get a feeling for what are you being directed to do? What's the choice? Does it feel light to say yes or to go with it? Or does it feel heavy? So you can get used to the feeling that you get that is your intuitive guidance. Pause and listen. Trust your body wisdom. Comes back to the same thing where you get a sense. Sometimes I wonder if you've ever had the sense where you were going to do something, could have been big or small, and you get this foreboding feeling that comes in. And that is a clear no. And can I also give you another tip that I've discovered is if you can't make a decision, the answer is no. Don't make the decision. So, and I know people beat themselves up so much. I'm a procrastinator. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's like, no, if the decision isn't clear and you're not compelled with a yes, it's no. So of course, sometimes there's fear that stops us from going ahead as well, but also, so no decision sometimes is the right decision, if not always. Trust your body's wisdom. So instead of thinking, I've been procrastinating and beating yourself up, just be like, no, I didn't make a decision, and trust yourself that it was not meant to be made. Some people are really good with journaling. I'm not, but if you are really good at, or you love to get your thoughts on paper, then journal away. It's really good. And I think we're not all big conversationalists. Personally, I love to have a conversation with someone and get things out of my head, but writing down is the same thing. So it's a little bit of a way to clear your channels so that you can listen to your body and hence listen to your intuition or listen to your stream. If you feel that there's a block to your intuition, think about having regression. You don't have to have it facilitated. You can do it through a guided meditation. Which brings me or reminds me to tell you that later there's going to be a little QR code. If you join our mail list, there's a free meditation on there that's to strengthen your intuition. It's called Indigenous, because Indigenous folk all ran on intuition. So that's what the meditation is, and you can get it for free. Strengthen your intuition. I also feel like when people get into groups developing their intuition, something happens where the energy is stronger, and somehow you can hear it stronger, maybe because you feel extra confident. So I think group courses or development circles are great. So basically, your soul knows the way. So what we're learning to do when we trust our intuition is to listen to it. Whether it's the way that our body works, the way that the thoughts come in and we listen, or the way that we don't act unless we feel compelled to. Always remember that. If you don't act, it's not meant to happen in that moment. So your soul knows. Trust yourself. Okay, this is the code that you can scan if you would like to. It's going to send you an email. I wrote it, and it will link you to where you can download the meditation. There's also a code there within that email. But if you are interested in our Everyday Recall 2-day workshop that we're doing in Sydney on the 6th and 7th of September, if you sign up for that today, it's 40% off. But you still need to go there to get the information about it. But it's brilliant. 2 days for self-development. There's going to be a lot of past life stuff in there, in between lives, but also a lot of really honing in on who you are and getting to know yourself so that you think you're awesome. That's what we're about is, of course, we have insecurities, but when we get to know them and get to know why they're there and also the amazing things that come with them, everything's two-sided, then you feel better about yourself and you'll feel better about where you're at in life and where you're going. So that's what we see happening with that workshop. It's going to be a nice but very liberating 2 days of self-work. So I have a few more minutes, pardon me, and so I wonder now if anyone has a question. I think we have a microphone. Get your steps in. Hello. I think yes.
That's on.
You're on.
Okay, my name is Monica. Thank you for that.
Monica.
So I've really been focusing on tuning in more to my intuition. And one thing that I've been doing is muscle testing.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, okay, what's my intuition saying about this decision? Then I write the yes, no, or the options, and then muscle test. Have you ever done anything like that? And what do you say about that?
Muscle testing or pendulums, or use your body pendulum for a yes or no. But you know what? And it's awesome that you're doing that. But if you're trusting your intuition, you wouldn't even need that affirmation.
Yeah.
And you'll get this immediate yes or no vibe. And maybe it's even one or the other of those words. Because muscle testing only gives us a yes or a no. And it's surpassing our consciousness. Yes. So, but it's good, and I love it. So, and I think we are logical as humans. So, it's a great thing, muscle testing. But yeah. Any other questions? We got a few more minutes.
How do you know? Hi.
Hi.
How do you know the difference between just your own thoughts versus
A clairaudient? An intuitive thought or a guidance?
Yeah, because I was having these conversations with myself, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm having a conversation with my own thoughts,
Okay.
or if this is something else and I can't tell.
So
I get very confused.
Thank you for asking this, because clairaudience is my favourite thing. So with clairaudience, it is a thought in your head, in your voice. So, and I know that some people get external thoughts, or they can hear things externally, but 99% of the time it's your thoughts in your head. So what you have to get used to is noticing that these thoughts drop over your daily thoughts. They drop in. So I call it loud. So it's like, it makes you take notice, because we are all thinking all the time. But those intuitive thoughts, they come in, and if you're meant to hear it again because you ignored it, it'll say it again. It'll happen again, and then you might ignore it lots of times. It'll tell you a few times. So you'll hear the thought again, and maybe more than a thought. Sometimes we're hearing more than a thought. Maybe we're hearing a big paragraph of guidance, or something for you to listen to. So I think my answer for you is to listen to how it's coming in and trust it. And that's the only way you test it. You'll test if what it said turns out, or if what it guided you to do was the right thing for you.
Yeah, okay. And sometimes it could just be that I'm asking a question and it'll just go, yes, yes. It's a simple thing. Or other times it feels like an argument with myself. And that's where I just get confused, because I'm like, I just don't know if I'm just
Well, I think
with
if it's
myself.
specific for you and saying yes, then take it as that. And then if it gets jumbled, then it's probably your logic getting in there. So then maybe you just got to cut that one off and maybe ask again later, or accept that there's no answer for you at that moment. Yeah?
Okay.
Trusting how it comes to you.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Welcome. I think we've got one more minute, or maybe a few more. So if anyone has any other questions, I'm very happy to answer.
If no one has any others, I'll ask.
Take it away.
It is in relation to past lives, and if you have any understanding of other planet past lives. And if you are, for example, a starseed, would you know? And also, if you are a starseed or if you're coming from another planet, will you always be... Actually, well, you couldn't have been... Yeah, could you have been from another planet in another life, but will you always keep going back to that planet, or will you just move on?
I
you
can
become a
only
human?
answer you from the experiences that I've had with what people do experience in their past lives. Mostly for me, it's a human past life. But yes, they go elsewhere. Yes, they do. And do they call it the places that we're really familiar with? Lemuria, Atlantis, not usually. And I'm not saying it's not those places, because what they describe seems similar, but they definitely do go to other places. And those places are beautiful, by the way. Earth is the hard place. Everyone that goes elsewhere, it's very much more energetic and very much more, I guess, like not being incarnated here, so on Earth. So I think that, I don't know that everyone gets to see those places, but I feel that we will have all had those past lives as well. So just because we've each been so many times here and elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. How do you know? How do you know where your past lives are? Well, there's a few ways, but if you haven't had a sporadic experience, or you haven't dreamed of one, then, or you haven't,
Dreams,
it can come in your dreams, or if you haven't meditated with the, or had it come through in meditation, then you have it facilitated, and then you will discover not all of your past lives, but certainly some of them, and usually the ones that are relevant to now. They're going to help you now somehow. So I guess the soul's got this library of your past lives, thousands potentially, and it picks out this one. Here we're going to show you this. I'm going to show you this. So that's how the past life therapy works. You get ones that are important for now.
Is that the same as Akashic Records?
I don't know. I don't work with the Akashic Records, but I'm sure that, as far as I know, that they are a bit of a history of people's incarnations. So, yes, I guess it's another way of accessing things and things you've done before and people you've been. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my time's nearly up. Does anyone else... We've got 5 minutes? Okay. Does anyone else want to ask something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, with past lives, so your injuries that you have now,
Yes.
physical
injuries?
Yeah, physical.
Yep.
They come back from a past life, and you heal them now.
We certainly do see that a lot. If the injury... Actually, it's not just... If the injury makes no sense, or if Western medicine hasn't been able to trace it, there's no reason, there's no evidence for it, but you feel it, that will 100% come from a past life, a memory. And when you remember what happened, or recall, it goes. It's phenomenal. So there's that. But sometimes I think your physical injuries or physical health experiences in this life, they may be somehow related to a past life. If they're meant to be cleared, you will be shown and it clears. If the physical ailment that you're experiencing now is something that is purposeful for you now, which sounds like, what the hell, why would it be? But if you go into the past life, you'll discover, because you're talking to your soul, what the purpose of it is now. When you understand why, either it heals, why it happened, or why you're experiencing something now, you'll also heal, because you'll have a surrender to what is happening, because it makes sense to you. That's how it works. Yeah.
Is that? I missed the first part of your talk, but is that going to be covered in this 2-day?
This talk is over. So, and we talked past life. Oh, sorry, in the workshop.
Yeah, in the workshop.
In the workshop, yes. We'll be covering all of this. We'll be guiding you into past lives, And we'll be talking about all sorts of things that happen and doing a lot of experiential work in that workshop. 2 days full of it. Yes.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. If anyone wants to talk afterwards, you can come to stand B8. We'll be hanging around in there. It's about there. Around there. It's about there. So, yes. But thank you for coming, and I'll see you soon.